Perfect. Thanks, Steph. And hi, everyone. Happy Friday. This is our official first joint webinar, Dave and I, to introduce Dave to the community for those of you who haven't met him. Many of you may have worked with Dave through Precision Ag Partners. So part of today is also explaining how we're going to be joining forces. And as Steph introduced, Dave has graciously joined the Growcer team to support this community. So we're really excited to partner and invest in improving the overall freight farms experience. So I'll start with that. I'll maybe start with why we decided to launch support and just our overall intentions as we got into this process. Steph, you can go to the next slide, and then I'll hand it over to Dave to really get into the meat and potatoes of it all. So the first thing I'll say is the reason we acquired Freight Farms and are making ongoing investments is that we want to see this community succeed in the long term. What that does mean in practice is that we are going to ensure that the decisions that are made now make Growcer sustainable, so that we are here for the long haul. You might have heard me say things similar to that in the past, but also we want to get to a place where we are actively continuing to make ongoing investments to improve your experience with Freight Farms. What I'll say is just a little bit of context too on how Growcer has approached support within our own business pre-acquisition, because I think it is a reflection of how we are going to be running the Freight Farms business. So our current customers in Growcer, of which we have about 130 or so today, many of them chose Growcer because of the hands-on white glove support that we provide and really invest in the success of growers. And so in the Growcer network today, there are many growers who communicate with Growcer on an ongoing basis, and it's not something that is an add-on that is added later in the fact. It's something that's baked into our core offering. And we're in a place within Growcer where we can actively make investments into improving the grower experience, speeding up the response, using tools like AI to make the grower experience even better. We're in that position because we can cost recover on the support side. So we're going to be applying that same way of doing business to the Freight Farms business. We acknowledge that it's a transition period as well for many of you who are used to the way things were done. But at the same time, we're invested in the destination that we're heading to, and we want to bring all of you along that journey with us. The first thing I also want to acknowledge is we conducted some focus groups over the last number of months. Dave has led that with our team. And I just want to thank the people who contributed to that. You spent a lot of hours with us, making sure that what we're presenting today meets your needs as closely as possible. So we chose a bit of a cross-section of all different types of sectors that are represented in the Freight Farms community to make sure that what we are developing reflects as closely as possible the needs of all of you. And the last thing I'll say, just to reframe support, what I've heard anecdotally through some conversations I've had directly with folks is that paying for support is seen as a cost. And I want to do a bit of a reframe for you on that. In our own network, what we're seeing and hearing from customers is that their ability to pay to get an answer sooner and to pay to have a qualified person answer their ticket much quicker is actually an investment in their farm to reduce downtime, to improve their ultimate yield and their bottom line. So what we're going to be doing is charging a small fee to ensure we properly invest in a support team and a support process that gets you growing faster. And if any issues arise, we're in a position to move quicker than if it was completely free. So that's the intention behind all of this. I'm probably repeating things you already know, but anytime an issue arises that is not caught early or that takes too long to resolve, that issue has trickle-down effects, and it costs a lot of money in downtime, lost revenue opportunities, et cetera. So our goal is to provide the best possible service at a reasonable price going forward. So with that, I'll stop there, or I think I have one more slide. As you all know, who use all those of you who use Farmhand, Farmhand has been continuing. We're actively investing in improving the Farmhand reliability, making sure that it's a software and a solution that you can depend on. So Farmhand has continued unabated. And if you ever have any software bugs or anything that is preventing you from using that Farmhand software, please do reach out to us, fill out a support ticket. We'll get right on it. Farmhand Shop in the last number of weeks has been relaunched. You are going to see a lot of the normal products you came to know with Freight Farms. And over time, we're going to be improving some of the listed products, either the kits that are on there or just the selection of products that is available based on your feedback. So if you also have products, materials that you have been buying for the last number of months while Farmhand Shop was turned off, and those are better, improved, you're getting a better experience with those materials or items, we'd love to hear your feedback, because if we can negotiate a volume discount for the whole network as a whole and start selling that through Farmhand Shop, we certainly will. Today we'll be introducing our full service support and training packages. Most of this is on the Freight Farms website, but some of the stuff for new farm commissioning and training is not yet posted. We'll be presenting what a la carte services means, and then we are reactivating all of the supply chain for Freight Farms so that rather than having to replace full systems, as much as possible, we want to allow you to buy one part at a time on an as needed basis. So with that, the current status is we are turning the lights back on many of the things you came to expect from Freight Farms, and over time, we're going to be working bit by bit to improve what is on offer, again, based on your feedback. So keep sending us feedback as you have been. We've been really appreciative of the transparency of this community on things that are working and things that need improvement. So keep that messaging going so that we can focus in on the right areas and prioritize the right things for all of your benefit. And with that, I'll hand it over to Dave.
Thank you, Corey. So once again, I just want to also mimic the words that Corey had for the people that joined those focus groups and were instrumental in helping us design these packages. Thank you very much. So let's move to the next slide and actually look at the packages. These were designed with lots of feedback from different farmers, with the knowledge of the cost sensitivity of a lot of freight farmers, but also balancing that with the realities of running a support operation, which does cost money. And just to kind of reiterate Corey's core commitment to support, in order to offer that core commitment, we do need to basically make sure that support is not a major cost center to the company, and that there is a way to offset that so that we can continue to sustainably offer support long term to freight farmers and make sure that we're there for you long term. So this is a slight difference, a big difference than the Freight Farms approach, but it is one that is going to make sure that we're there for you long term, which is the once again the underlying foundation of this entire support part. So looking at these three options here, really are three options. The partner support is more of a custom option there. But the backbone of all of these support options is a community, a very active community in Slack. So Slack is a platform for chatting, and if anyone's not familiar with it, I would highly recommend go checking out the Slack platform. It is a highly usable format. So it's available on your phone, it's available on your computer. It allows you to send photos and videos very easily. And it also allows for much faster troubleshooting. So rather than waiting on individual emails to be answered and responded to, Slack is much more of a chat platform where things can get worked out very quickly. The platform itself is basically going to be used as a community. And all of these support packages will include a seat in that Slack community. The main differences between these will be increasing number of tickets, which will basically be touch points with the support team, which for now is mostly myself. And you can basically consider those tickets as expert guidance or solutions with sort of a expertise involved, as opposed to a crowdsourced answer, which would be available anytime. So if you are part of the community, which comes with any of these packages, you will be able to post in a public channel asking questions to the entire community. You can also search the entire history of that community for any questions that have been answered or asked before. There is also built-in AI features that allow you to summarize a lot of that information as well. So if you ask it in a certain way to summarize the content around, let's say, blue LEDs, it will provide you a summary as well as potential next steps. So it's a very powerful search feature. This was something that we heard time and time again from farmers during the freight farms era about the knowledge base support features or the search feature just not being really up to snuff and making it very hard to find information. The um, Slack platform is meant to solve that by basically keeping all of this troubleshooting in a public forum where it can be easily searched by anybody that has access to that forum. And that allows you as a farmer to access not just immediate support through tickets, but also to look at historically anything that has ever been asked and find either solutions to those problems or even proactively look for problems that might come up as well. So it's a really powerful platform. And I will say, over the last 3 months that we have been piloting this program through the Precision Ag Partners consulting business, it has been very active. And I think that is the main difference between what we saw before and what we're seeing now is that the community itself is very active. Lots of people are talking every single day, sharing information, asking questions, and that activity is really what brings value to the platform. So, just going through these really quickly, the starter support is meant to be accessible to the average for-profit farmer or someone with a fairly tight budget. It's $100 a month, and there is a 15% discount if you purchase it for an annual plan. It comes with one seat in the Slack community, which, as I mentioned, comes with all the amenities that we just described, access to the Knowledge Hub, and ongoing webinars as well. It also comes with one plant or tech support ticket per month. So this is a guaranteed response from myself. So if you have a general question just around let's say, where can I find this particular supply? Where can I find grow plugs? That's something that you could post in a regular public forum, and there would certainly be an answer from another farmer or even potentially from myself if I can link it to you really quickly. But the plant or tech support is meant to be a complicated or an unsolvable issue that you have not been able to find the solution to yourself. You can submit that support request that will generate a ticket, and then there will be a active troubleshooting flow with myself or the support team to make sure that you get that answer, um, that you get a solution to that problem in a very deep, meaningful way. So that it's not just a we received your message, but also it is meant to help you solve that specific issue. As you work your way up this value chain here, you'll see the growth support comes with more of those tickets. So you go from 1 to 4. It also comes with a half an hour of phone and video support that's included. So if you just want to take a half an hour to just discuss your plan for your farm or any issue that you've experienced, we can set that time up and directly go through that in a face-to-face manner, which some people do prefer. And then also comes with a discount on consulting hours. So I'll talk about that in just a second, but the impact support is essentially just another upgrade from the growth support. So unlimited tickets, and it comes with a full hour of phone and video support every month, which once again is just dedicated one-on-one time that you can use for whatever it is that you want to use, as well as a yearly project impact report. This is mostly for nonprofits who are looking for an impact report that they can use for their funders or their donors to show the impact they've been having on the community. This will pull together a lot of data that's been collected over the last year to really show how your farm has been impactful. Talking about these consulting hours, if, for example, you are in the starter support package and you have already used your ticket for that month, but then you have an acute problem that comes up. Let's say your pump seems to stop working for whatever reason. The a la carte options are there so that you don't have to, it doesn't force you to move to the next package. Let's say you're running out of tickets. I can't get an answer through the public forum. I really need to speak with someone. There is an a la carte option that will allow you to just buy an hour or a half an hour of consulting and actually get on the phone with somebody to solve that problem without having to upgrade your package per se. So that we'll talk about those a la carte options here in just a second. But just to let you know that as you work your way up, those a la carte options become cheaper. They are discounted more heavily because we want to incentivize people to basically use the support through the ticketing system, and then if needed, you will always have that a la carte option available to you. One really important thing about these support options that I do want to clarify very clearly is that in order to purchase a package, you do have to have a active Farmhand subscription. So Farmhand is really the data backbone that allows myself and the support team to support farmers out there in the field. We can look at your farm, we can look at the data, we can see how your farm is performing, and that performance information is extremely crucial to do a good job troubleshooting any issues that might arise. So in order to purchase one of these support packages, please just know that you will need to have an active Farmhand subscription. That's something that we can activate very quickly, especially if you've already had one in the past and you paused it or you canceled it. This is not something that's going to take a couple of weeks to do. This is a very quick turnaround process, but that is a prerequisite in order to purchase a support package. This does not affect the a la carte options. If you do not have a Farmhand subscription, you are more than welcome and available. All of those a la carte options will be available to you, regardless of your support subscription status. Okay, so let's move on from here. Okay, so to that point about Farmhand, how do I know if I have Farmhand? How do I know if my subscription is active? There are many ways to do it, but if you are looking for a self-serve way, you can log into your account at farmhand.ag, log in, and then in your upper right-hand corner, there's a little icon with the first letter of your first name. You can click on that icon, go to account settings, and then within that account settings page, there will be a subscription box or a subscription card. And that subscription card will tell you what your subscription status is. It'll either say active, canceled, something along those lines. So you can check it there. You can also update your credit card information right there in that account page as well. If you wanted to update that to a new card or a new payment method. If you do not have access to Farmhand or you just want to ask what the status is, you can always email support@freightfarms.com, and we will answer you. Basically, we will look it up for you. And then if you are having trouble activating Farmhand, this is something that comes with your subscription. So if you have an active Farmhand subscription or you purchase an active Farmhand subscription, you can expect that you will get activation support for your software. So if you are unable to access your software because, for example, your CloudGate is configured incorrectly and it's not able to access the wider internet, this is the kind of support that you will receive as part of that subscription to make sure that you can utilize your Farmhand. This does not apply to custom programming. There's a lot of other sort of secondary scenarios here that would not fall under this included support. But I do want to make sure that everyone understands if you purchase a Farmhand subscription, we want to make sure that you can use it, that you can actually access it. And that comes as part of your Farmhand subscription. Right. Let's get into the a la carte options here. So once again, regardless of your Farmhand subscription status, so if you do not have a Farmhand subscription or if you do have a Farmhand subscription, you can always purchase an a la carte support option here. So you have your consults, which are essentially a one-on-one video or phone call where we can work through any question or issue that you have. Those come in the 30-minute and 60-minute flavors. It's up to you. There's also a farm emergency consult, which is if you have an emergency issue that has to be answered immediately, you can purchase that through the same website where you will purchase the regular consults, but you can expect a much faster turnaround time. And we know that for many issues, time is of the essence. So please know that we will make every effort to essentially get back to you as quickly as possible once we've seen that a farm emergency consult has been purchased. So all of these consults can be purchased directly on the shop website. They are products that are listed there. So if you go onto the shop at shop.myfarmhand.com, you will you can search for a farm success consult or a farm emergency consult, and those products will pop up. As soon as those products are purchased, I will receive an immediate notification and reach out to you about scheduling. The only difference between these, once again, is just that the farm emergency consult has a much faster turnaround time for scheduling. So if you do have a really acute issue that you have to solve right now, you can get somebody on the phone, and you can feel comfortable in that. The on-site visit is meant to be basically hands-on support at your farm. There is a 2-day minimum here just for travel purposes. So if you are in, we just want to make sure that we're making the most use of that time. But this is for anyone that has an issue that requires on-site support. So if you are running into a problem that you really don't want to work through the troubleshooting yourself for necessarily, or you would just like to have someone come out and, let's say, visually inspect your farm to make sure that it is up to snuff, an on-site visit could be a good option for you. There are many, many different reasons why people might choose an on-site visit, but just know that those do have a 2-day minimum and will also need to be purchased through a quote as opposed to on the shop website. So if you do want a 2-day visit, please reach out to support@freightfarms.com and just let us know the details, and then we will give you a quote for that. Farm performance analysis is pretty straightforward. This is us having a very deep in-depth look at your farm, as well as pretty much all of the data that comes out of your farm, as well as anything that you can provide around crop yields, etc. And we'll do a full analysis that will allow you to optimize for whatever it is your goals are. So if your goals are energy reduction or labor reduction or yield optimization, you want to produce as much as possible, we will take that goal, we will review your entire farm's operation, both through the data side as well as through what you can provide us on the yield side, and put together a plan. The core training is the last a la carte option here, and this is meant for anyone that needs a on-site dedicated training. This is a very intense 2-day dedicated training that takes place on-site at your farm. And the goal of this is to, as opposed to an on-site visit, which is for diagnostics or for repairs, etc., the core training is really meant to teach yourself as well as an unlimited number of people that you want to be a part of that training how to operate your farm. So how to operate, what to look out for, what are the maintenance instructions, etc. There are a lot of different topics that are covered during this on-site training. But the goal is that when we leave, you feel completely comfortable operating that farm and making sure that you have all of the resources in place to be a successful farmer. All right. And just go back one more time. I just want to call out that little blurb up there in the top right, that growth and impact tiers do receive percentage discounts off of these farm consults at the top there. So if you're in one of those higher tiers, either the growth or the impact support, you will receive a discount on these a la carte calls and video support options. Okay. Now, for new freight farmers, this is, I would say, most of the people on this call this will probably not apply to you as you've already had your farm or you're set up or you're running. But for new farmers, so Growcer will be continuing to produce freight farms models. That was one of the early commitments that Growcer made during the acquisition process. And for those new farmers, there are different support and onboarding options available to you. The starter onboarding support is mostly remote. It is mostly kind of a DIY, provides you with a lot of documentation as well as a specific call to help you get started. And all of that documentation for for you to go through the onboarding process. The impact onboarding support is a much more hands-on onboarding option. So if you want to make sure that you have a site-specific drawing, for example, or you want to have a dedicated deployment specialist, so somebody that is going to work with you from the time that you purchase your farm all the way through until the time that your farm arrives, that is for you. The impact onboarding support is for you. This also includes the on-site farm training. So that is baked into this package here. So you will receive a 2-day on-site training as a part of this impact onboarding support. So very different options here, and they are available for different types of farmers with different types of needs. But just know that the impact onboarding support is very much meant to be a much more of a hand-holding type of experience throughout that onboarding process. Okay. And then the last piece on training here. So we talked about the core training, which I explained the main purpose of. The mentorship training is a true white glove option, and it is really meant to be mentorship at every level for farmers who are looking not just for that one-time training, but for those additional check-ins. Um, and you can see, I think the biggest difference here that you will notice is that there are 2 additional 2-day site visits within 12 months. That is the biggest difference here, is that you will have a dedicated, expert staff member come to your site multiple times throughout the year to make sure that not only did you get started off on the right foot, but also that you are continuing in that vein and are as successful as you possibly can be. So this involves having more people come to your farm and really make sure that you're set up for success. That's really the biggest difference between these, is that you will get more of that on-site, hands-on support than if you were to just go with the core training, which is a de facto one-time training. Right. So when we look ahead, we have a lot of things on the docket here. Pretty much every single one of these topics, every single one of these items was specifically chosen because it adds value to the freight farmer network, and because we know that farmers actually want this stuff. It is valuable to them so that they can support their businesses, they support their organizations, and also help train new members of their teams. So the revamped knowledge base, we will be revamping the knowledge base and adding more material to it and potentially integrating it into another platform as well. New training materials, lots and lots of training materials. One of the mediums that we're going to be utilizing a lot more for training materials is videos as well. So that was another thing that was loud and clear during the focus groups, was that videos are helpful. We want to be able to see what you're doing. I want to be able to walk through somebody doing it. If anyone has ever used YouTube for anything in their life, whether it's changing the oil in your car or how to do your taxes, it's really, really helpful to have that video support, and that is something that we will be utilizing really heavily going forward. The community-based support option that I mentioned through Slack, really utilizing that support through the community, because while there are lots and lots of very specific kind of technical questions that I can answer or our team can answer, the farmer experience is something that can't really be fully replicated without talking to a farmer themselves. So having this network of people that are interacting with each other is really, really valuable. And it also is a great support mechanism for any time that's, it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you happen to be on, let's say, like Egyptian time, and somebody in Egypt is actually answering your question in real time. Well, that's the benefit of having a really active, broad community. So product enhancements and upgrades, those are pretty straightforward. We'll be continuing to improve on the products that we offer, whether those be services or the actual products, the physical products themselves, through the greenery and future products that are produced as well as Farmhand. And Corey touched on that earlier, but really dedicated to improving Farmhand and making that a reliable software product that is, first of all, indispensable to your growing operation, but also extremely valuable in every way. And so we are investing in that long term as well. And then lastly, as the focus groups, I think really were a great example of what we are trying to do, which is to hear from farmers about what they need so that we can make our services match the needs that you actually have as farmers. So your feedback is very impactful on what these support services look like going forward. So we are very open to farmer feedback, hearing from you, trying to find ways that just make support make more sense. So the support groups or the focus groups were a great example of that, but we are always open to hearing your feedback so that we can make these services and products better. And with that, we will go to the questions.
We do have a couple of questions. I think it will be easier if I share what the question is from the chat, and then Dave, you can answer it. Or if the question is for Corey, then I'll say it's for Corey. But at the moment, I think, Dave, most of the questions are going to be for you. So this one question from Joseph is, are support tickets going to be visible to other farmers on Slack? I asked because I've learned so much from other farmers and learned so much from other farmers, more complicated questions, and Dave's solutions on Slack over the past several months.
Great question. And they will default to being public. If you would like them to be private, you can request that and we can take that troubleshooting offline, but they will default to being public. I will also let Corey weigh in on that as well.
And I think you've answered it succinctly, Dave. I'll leave it there.
Okay, so the next question is from Hope. Will Farmhand and the support work for a 2017 Leafy Green Machine?
Sure will. Love that thing. So one of the benefits, and I forgot to mention for anyone that's not familiar with myself, just a quick introduction. I worked at Freight Farms for about 8.5 years. I ran the support team there for about 4 of those in my early days, worked very, very closely with every model, but particularly with those early LGMs as well. So the support resources that we have to support LGMs as far as documentation goes will probably not be added to significantly like they will for the newer models. But as far as whether there's expertise to help you and support those types of models, yes is the answer.
Okay, awesome. So we also have another question from Sean Harris. A big part of Freight Farm Support was to help build a knowledge base to help farmers solve common problems. Now that the support is a for-profit model, will Freight Farms keep on with updates to the knowledge base, or the information be kind of closed, kept only to Freight Farms, and have farmers having to constantly need to go for support? And I think if you were to kind of explain your vision for the community-based support model, this might help clarify that the information's not being gatekept, it's just in a different platform. So yeah, it's basically like where is the knowledge base going? Where is kind of like the new knowledge going to be living?
So I think just a very clear commitment is that we will continue to invest in more documentation, more knowledge sharing with farmers through the Slack platform. In that community, we are making that as public as we can. It is still paywalled in a way so that there is a cost associated with providing support, and so there will be a cost associated with gaining access to the knowledge that comes from the support team. But to the exact question, yes, we will absolutely be adding to the knowledge base. There will be more documentation, and there will be that information will be shared in a very accessible and wide format through the community. I would highly recommend anybody that hasn't used it or seen it. I'm more than happy to introduce you to a person who has used it that could speak to their experience with it, because I think it will make it very clear that this information is very valuable and is very open.
I also
And
just
Dave,
kind of want to
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to add to, I know we've put some stuff on the drive many months ago when the original bankruptcy happened, and I think that continues to be accessible. The legacy knowledge base continues to be free and accessible, and we plan to leave that up there.
Thank you, Corey. That's excellent point. And to anybody that doesn't know where that is, we'll make that available.
And that's on Google Drive, I believe it's still, yeah. So that all the legacy stuff is good, but if you want access to the new stuff, the new content Dave is talking about that we're going to be improving, that is only for paying subscribers.
Yeah, and just to highlight, that is available on grocer.com/FF. FF for Fright Farms. If you scroll down, there's a link, it goes to the knowledge base. But for those of you who were on the Fright Farms mailing list, it was actually Dave who compiled all those resources and sent it to you. So if you check your inbox history, we are not touching that. It's going to be available to anyone who got that email. I would also like to kind of highlight from the focus groups, and Dave, you can probably speak more to it. We essentially had people rank certain values about what they're looking for support, and expertise ranked quite highly. And this is going to lead into the next question that I saw. But it's so important that, sometimes I go on Google looking for an answer. You never know if it's going to work for you. But if you can know with certainty that the person, knows the farm, has been part of the development of the farm, is going to be part of the future development of the farm, that expertise is very invaluable because then it saves you from running around to like different solutions, different kind of forms, troubleshooting. It's essentially you pay for that expertise and that access to the expertise. So Dave, you can speak more to that, but a lot of people are asking if you are the ones who are doing the on-site visits.
For the time being, yes. That there is no guarantee that I will be the only person providing those visits long term, especially per, I think, Grocers, core commitment to sustainability. It's not sustainable to just have one person who is the only person available for this. So we are, as a team, committed to training other members of the team as well to make sure that this knowledge does not just live in one head, but it lives across the organization so that there are experts that are available. Also, I would love to take a vacation every now and then. So, but yes, for the time being, I will be doing almost all of the on-sites for the remainder of the year, but also there will be other members of the Grocer team joining so that they can also become experts in the technology.
Okay, awesome. I'll take this next question. Someone asked about the Fright Farms YouTube. Unfortunately, I do not have a happy answer for you. Once an account is gone on YouTube, there is no way to recover it. We did reach out to some of the Fright Farm staff who had, videos on their hard drives and things like that. They had backups. We were able to recover parts of those. But unfortunately, the way that YouTube is set up is once a YouTube account is closed, it is gone forever. So our kind of goal moving forward, and Dave kind of spoke to this, is we really just want to create fresh content the way Grocer wants to create it, really highlighting that kind of customer experience, what growers are looking for, making it easier to follow, making it more to the point, or more, like you said, more of a walkthrough. So instead of focusing on trying to recover some of the videos that are, might be out of date, might be old, might be archived, we're really focusing on what can we add to support, what can we add to the farmer experience that is gonna just make things better. And yes, it is very sad. Those of us at Grocer love those videos as much as you probably found them very resourceful. And it is sad for everyone on the front. But we were very fortunate that some of the Fright Farm staff did have backups. So yes. So there are some questions about for some of the Leafy Green Machine growers, and I'm just gonna send this question off to Dave. It's from Samantha. Can the on-site training support both Leafy Green Machine and Greenery S's during the same visit? For context, we have 6 farms total, 2 Leafy Green Machines and 4 Greenery S's. The Leafy Green Machines have been retrofitted, but we haven't launched them mostly due to skill gaps with how different the machines work.
Yes, is the answer. So I'm very well versed in both of those technologies. So it would be me for the time being to do that on site. But absolutely, there would be 2 separate training agendas for sure, because those machines are very different, as you mentioned. But absolutely, we can support both, and that could be done during the same visit. It would actually be more efficient to do it during the same visit as well. There's a lot of overlap between them as well. So it would start with a general overview and then get very specific depending on the technology.
Okay. This next question, I might actually send it off to Corey because Corey, you spoke about this, but this person did miss the beginning part of the webinar. I believe you just answered their
Yeah,
question.
I just answered it in writing.
And so it's just to clarify, those who are already paying for Farmhand, you do get access to the ongoing support tiers. And then for those of you who are not currently with an active Farmhand subscription, because of the way support works and how valuable that Farmhand subscription is, you do need to get Farmhand first to be able to access support.
Yeah,
And
and to clarify, when you pay for Farmhand, you're paying for software support specifically and Farmhand activation, but not technical support on hardware. So those are two separate packages. So Farmhand, or sorry, Greenery support in terms of the non-Farmhand stuff, things like modules, hardware, etc. That is all you need to either pick a tier to have it ongoing or pick from the a la carte options if you just need help on a, call it as needed basis.
Now, this next question, I'll send it off to Dave. This is from Corey, not this Corey, but the other Corey. If we choose the a la carte options, will we still gain access to the instructional videos, or do we have to be part of a tier? And I think it's important to maybe show the cost benefit analysis of what having an ongoing subscription is versus paying for support as you need it, which is still an option. But maybe if you kind of look ahead to your year, maybe people might make that decision differently.
Yeah, I would just recall what Corey said a few minutes ago, just about the information that is already publicly available in the shared resources folder will be publicly available regardless of your subscription status. Going forward, anything that is new, any new documentation, any new video content will require a subscription in order to access.
I think it's also important to note that, say, for example, if you were to pay a la carte services, like, say, for example, a farm success consult, one farm success consult is about $150 for your time versus to pay for a minimum level of support, it's less than that already. So that's kind of what I had wanted to highlight, which is like if you are someone who knows you really want a lot of support, maybe just to get started, then you might see that it's worth it in the long run to get, for the first, 6 months, you get more bulk support. And then as you feel more comfortable, learning curve in your farm, maybe that next year you kind of go down to a lower package or anything like that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steph, for making that really clear. But that is absolutely right, that if you do a quick cost benefit analysis, it only takes a couple of consulting hour calls to basically match the same amount of investment as if you were to just buy an annual package. So, and you will get more value out of those annual packages because you will get all of the ancillary benefits that we talked about, access to all the training videos, access to the support community, which I cannot stress enough is really, really valuable. Having access to a community of other farmers is super, super valuable, especially an active one. There are lots of other communities out there and lots of other platforms, which I will say are completely fine for what they're able to offer, but they are more of a forum-based community where you post something and then other people can comment on it in a more disjointed kind of way, whereas Slack is really designed. And by the way, it is only for farmers. That is another thing that I will mention about the Slack community is that it is closed to external advertisers or people that are, trying to potentially sell something. Slack is for farmers. And so within that group, you are insulated from external sort of pressures. And that group is really, really valuable in getting that fast feedback and activity. So there are other platforms out there, but just access to that community platform is so valuable and is absolutely worth the investment.
Okay, I have this question that Corey already kind of answered, but I think it'll be useful given that we are talking about adjusting your plan to your needs. So the person asked, how does upgrading packages work? Let's say we opt in for a lesser package, but identify a new need mid-month upgrade. Is that cost prorated? How does switching packages work? So Corey, if you could just repeat what you had said on the call, I think it'd be helpful.
Yeah, you're credited for what you've prepaid for. So I use the example of if you're on the $100 a month plan and halfway through the month you upgrade to the higher tier, that remaining half that you haven't used, the $50 value, is applied against the value of your upgrade. So it's all prorated per day. If we'll count out of 30 how many days you've used and how many days are left in the month and so on. So no problem with starting at a lower tier, and then as you feel the need, you can increase or vice versa.
Okay. I believe the questions are slowing down, so I'm just gonna ask this one last question from Nicholas before we start wrapping things up. What if the only thing I want is access to the Slack community while only needing additional support on an as-needed basis?
Yeah. Then the starter support is a great package for you. It is a fairly inexpensive package in the sense that it's $100 a month, or even lower than that if you buy the annual version, and it has access to that grower community, and then you can purchase a la carte options if you need to, as you mentioned, for that additional support. But the starter support really is that option. One thing I will just mention for anyone that's already in the Slack community, because I do think this is an important distinction, is that the Slack community now has a paid per seat cost that Growcer is paying for, because of the additional tools that we decided to upgrade to. So particularly the AI tools that allow you to summarize that information and really search the community in a much more efficient way. That's something that we are paying for. And so in order to offset that cost, there is more of a cost than what the community previously utilized, which was a free trial. So um, that is that's just another justification for why it is slightly more expensive than it was previously. It's just all the additional tooling and benefits that come with a higher sort of tier.
We have a couple wrap-up ones, Dave. Some quick fire questions, if we can go to that. I know we've talked about the knowledge base, but we haven't talked much about Farmhand Academy. Is that content, the historical content, posted anywhere, or is that included only in the subscriptions?
Farmhand Academy right now, the content, I believe, and Steph, you may actually know this better than I do, but the content itself is not lost, I will say. The platform that hosted it, which was EduNext, has been shut down. And so the guided platform for actually going through online for Farmhand Academy is no longer available. But the content itself, I believe, is still something that we have access to, and we could potentially relaunch. Although I can't speak to the timeline around that. I'm not, Steph or Corey, you can probably touch on that.
There's actually, we've only really scratched the surface. We essentially have a stack of hard drives in the office, about like 10 or so of them. I have kind of gone through, we've done it based on a priority basis, but I did see a folder for the Leafy Green Machine. I know someone was asking about that. And so it's really just a matter of time about like what is worth recovering and what is worth, building from scratch. But our goal is like, that's also one of the reasons why Dave is so integral to the team, and also having him train grocer staff. And I would say for the Hortex on our team, like they come from they deal with grocer farms, they come from a greenhouse background, a cannabis background. They come with their own expertise, and they're very good at troubleshooting. So I think whoever is available on hands, like we will be able to kind of help you deal with your farm, whether or not that kind of archived information is lost or not. And it might even be better. We've heard from a lot of people when we're doing our focus groups that the training materials available weren't really that clear, or they weren't really that relevant, or they got out of date as soon as you did like one tweak. So I think it's very exciting, but we also don't want to rewrite a playbook if it was already very successful. That's why a lot of the knowledge-based stuff that was available after the bankruptcy is still going to be available for farmers. Also, there's another question here about what is the time frame that non-Farmhand subscribers have to get Farmhand if we're already in the Slack? I'm guessing you could probably clarify that.
I can see that one because this only applies to a fairly small subset of farmers through the Precision Ag Partners group. I will just reach out to that farmer directly. Kai, I'll explain that to you. But it's because it's not applicable to the entire group of people that are listening to this, I will reach out directly on that one.
And there was a Canadian dollar payment question too earlier in the chat. We'll get back to you by email on that one as well. We are using the same software platform that Freight Farm used, and our finance team is looking at that as we speak to see if that's possible to bill you in Canadian dollars if you prefer that. Question 2 on if support includes plant growth support. The simple answer is yes. Any ticket regarding plant health, troubleshooting, that kind of thing is included in as a standard support ticket.
Absolutely.
I also just want to highlight on www.frightfarms.com/support. If you scroll to the bottom, we have an FAQ section, and we also developed a farm worry meter. We heard from a lot of you who are kind of newer farmers. You don't know what is critical support and what can actually wait. So if it's something like, oh, maybe my lettuces look a little bit yellow, is that critical? Do you need to get support? Versus say, for example, my HVAC stopped working. That is something kind of higher on the meter. And so for those of you who are interested in terms of like what needs more reactive support, what needs a call right away versus what can kind of wait, I highly recommend you go to that resource. It literally looks like a thermometer, and the higher you get up to the top, the more critical it is, and the lower you get, the more you can chill and maybe ask within a week. Also, just to reiterate what Corey was saying, when you purchase Farmhand, the software, you do get software support with it. So if it's related to your Farmhand software, even if it's just to get your subscription active, that does not really require a support package because all the support packages require you to have Farmhand. But if you can't get Farmhand, it's kind of like a chicken and the egg situation. We will work with you to get your Farmhand active. That is, I believe, software subscription activation, whatever the proper terminology was. You don't have to worry. If it's Farmhand software support is included with your Farmhand subscription, it's the other stuff, the tech support, the plant health support, the optimizing your farm, like that is what we are referring to when we talk about support, and of course the Slack community. With that said, we're almost at time. This recording will be posted on the website, so for those of you who are going to be tuning in later, this is available. I highly recommend you check out the website. There is a form at the bottom if you're interested, if you have questions, if you just kind of want to like talk to someone in the team about your specific situation, fill out the form at the bottom of frightfarms.com/support, and we will get back to you. And if you have Farmhand questions or replacement part questions and you don't see them on the Farmhand shop, you can just email support@frightfarms directly because that is a very specific question. We want to make sure that you get support right away. So with that, I want to thank everyone for their participation, for their enthusiasm. I want to thank Corey and Dave for spreading all the knowledge. And yeah, stay tuned, and thank you all for the questions. And yeah, have a good weekend, everyone.